life from now on, year after year of having to come back to review one wretched season of Glee after the other? There's only 2 seasons left! Too many! Previously on the Glee review. Much of America was wondering how in the hell this series could continue after the way season 3 ended, and found out the way was to basically make the 4th season like a sequel to the previous years in a way that would have the producers of Angels in the End Zone and the Home Alone sequels roll their eyes. There was some hope the episodes would be good, as we would get to see Rachel having to realize the real world would make her want high school back, highlighted by her getting chewed out by Dance Sergeant First Class Kate Hudson. Sadly, those tidbits were overshadowed by going back to McKinley High and its version of Attack of the Clones, as the departed cast was replaced by cheap knockoffs that did try to carry on the tradition of mudslinging and stabbing each other in the back. We were teased at the sight that they might have to go the rest of the season without their games, as they lost at sectionals, only to have the winners disqualified for steroid use. Makes as much sense as just about everything else. And eventually won another trip back to nationals, and then just decided to up and end the season there. Oh, and Brittany somehow went from being a moron to graduating mid-year as a prodigy, and I'm still wondering how the hell that happened. But I've seen much worse ways to write a character out of a show. So with that exposition dump out of the way, let's get into the 5th season of Glee and wonder if there's even a shark for this show to jump over at all. The first episode opens with Rachel taking her audition for Funny Girl as teased in last year's finale.
Oh, she's charming. She certainly looks right for the part. I just fear that she's too young, you know, too green is my concern as well.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
The school year seems like it's never ending, and now we're wasting 2 whole weeks on a band from the 1940s. Seriously, can anyone still relate to the Beatles?
Pretty much the entire world. Yeah, I could definitely still relate.
Yeah.
Why? Were the Beatles dyslexic and catfished by transsexuals?
And you wonder why everybody hates you.
Yes, the 2-hour season premiere is all devoted to Beatles songs. How? No, really, I want to know how they pulled this off. Beatles numbers are among the most difficult songs to get the licenses for. Do you know why the final season of Mork and Mindy took forever to get a DVD release? They had to work around one 5-second clip in one episode where Mork sings along to Hey Jude. I'm guessing part of the deal was they were contractually obligated to make this the season premiere because it wasn't until the next episode that they dealt with the inevitable.
Seasons of love, seasons of love.
Yes, sadly they had to kill off the character of Finn Hudson due to the tragic death of Corey Monteith that previous summer. I don't think it's ever really stated how the character died, just a standard episode of everyone talking about how they remember him. And for what it's worth, it's a pretty good tribute to the character that I'm sure had the cast making their own subtle goodbyes to Monteith as well.
Everyone wants to talk about how he died too, but who cares? One moment in his whole life. I care more about how he lived, and anyone who has a problem with that should remember that he was my brother.
Obviously, as I pointed out last time, there had to have been changes in this season's storyline due to Monteith's death. So, yes, you will need to take just about everything I say from this point on with a grain of salt, since I obviously don't know exactly what got changed and what didn't. But I'm pretty sure this was in there from the beginning.
Welcome back, Coach Sylvester.
It's Principal Sylvester. I broke into Figgins' office and planted incriminating evidence of every conceivable variety. Gambling receipts, porno mags,
We're gonna be here for a while.
gay porno mags, gay foot fetish porno.
Yeah, Sue Sylvester gets back into McKinley High by basically usurping the principal's office from Figgins. Apparently, she will keep her word about not revealing the affair she and Figgins had, but she'll frame him for every other crime in the book. So, why the hell doesn't Figgins get back by revealing that affair like he almost did at the end of season 1, since now he basically has nothing to lose? Oh, was because she was nice enough to give him a new job at the school as the janitor? Let me remind you all that the previous season ended with Sue lying and sacrificing her job by claiming a gun fired in the school was hers to protect her Cheerio with Down syndrome that actually brought it in. And also remember, this is not like the other seasons that started up the following school year. This is a continuation of the school year from last season, which means Sue had to have pulled this crap mere months, maybe even weeks after she got fired and appeared willing to accept that. So once again, this show throws her character development and the hints that she might actually have a conscience completely out the window. And yeah, like this is a spoiler, she's gonna get worse.
This practice of referring to oneself as a Katie or a Gaga. The Glee Club will be doing this the entire week.
It's super annoying, right?
It is the most annoying thing they've ever done. Oh. Well, it appears Will Schuester has taken up the age-old question that has vexed creepy pederasts since Socrates. Before Katie versus Gaga, it was Jackie versus Marilyn, Betty versus Veronica, Mary Todd Lincoln versus Martha Washington,
Samantha versus Jeannie, Alf versus Mork, Ninja Turtles versus Power Rangers. Damn it, Sue, stop making me talk like you! Yes, this is what supposedly causes Sue to be infuriated at the Glee Club this season.
I got the eye of the tiger, the fighter, dancing through the fire, 'cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar.
Let's just be glad Will didn't have them researching Justin Bieber. Sue would have declared nuclear war right there.
You're not firing us?
Not if you win a national championship, I'm not. However, if you fail to win at nationals, I will fire you, and you'll be forced to build creepy relationships with teenagers on your own time.
So while we see episodes dealing with twerking, Blaine getting taught by Muppets to deal with his control issues, an episode centered around Billy Joel that doesn't include We Didn't Start the Fire, what the hell even? Back in New York, Rachel manages to land the lead role in Funny Girl and actually seems to start bonding with Santana of all people, with both of them even joining Kurt's cover band.
It's okay to complain to me. It means we're friends. I think I just have this weird guilt trip thing about being friends with you because I was so awful to you in high school. Quinn and Britt hated you too, and that's mostly just because you sucked so bad and you walked with that weird feet pointing out thing. I made Quinn look like the boss, but I was really running the hate on Rachel parade.
You know, this is actually a very interesting plot element to see how two of the former members that were two of the big alpha females can find ways to coexist with one another. So, what can they do to screw it all up? They can have Santana land the role of Rachel's understudy and go back to battling divas that ends up in Rachel leaving the apartment she, Santana, and Kirk had been sharing.
Fanny Bryce is a New York Jew. You playing that role is like me being the Grand Marshal of the Puerto Rican Day Parade.
You have all of this talk about forgiveness for high school, but the reality is that you just love having something over me. I mean, these past couple of months with you in rehearsal and me waiting tables has been such sweet revenge for you, and you just can't stand the idea that I might get mine too.
It's like listening to Yankees and Red Sox fans bitch at one another, and you just want to flat out tell them that both their teams suck. Although I will give them props for using Sting's I'll Be Watching You in a way that the song was actually meant to be used.
Not everyone knows what they're gonna do once they graduate, because the New Direction seem to plan their lives like they plan their set list. They pretty much figure it out the night before.
Just like the writers of this show. At any rate, it's finally time for New Directions to show up at Nationals, and, well, there just isn't any way to beat around the bush for this. They don't win at Nationals, and you can't really blame them. I mean, the winners did Mr. Roboto, for crying out loud. But the runner-up finish isn't impressive enough for Generalissimo Sue, and she doesn't just fire Will, she drops the Glee Club altogether. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Oh, there's a brief attempt to save it due to the efforts of several returning characters that show up in the 100th episode, but it doesn't go anywhere. Now, here's the thing, I have to be honest with you people. I'm not going to rant and complain just for the sake of being dramatic, because, well, that's what they would do on this show. Yes, I was definitely upset with Sue doing this at first. I thought Sue was especially condescending in saying Will should still feel proud for sticking out this long while still rubbing it in his face that she finally got her way. And claiming she put in a word to recommend him for the job directing their old rivals at Vocal Adrenaline seemed kind of hollow. But for what it's worth, the way the 100 and 101st episodes played out, with so many characters coming back and paying tribute to Will, that was topped off with, what else, him joining them in one last rendition of Don't Stop Believing, it was actually pretty touching. And for everything insane that had gone on with the show these 4+ years, it did make it look like everyone would always appreciate what this group did to their lives, and that it would always live on in that way. I'm not completely upset that they went in this direction. To be perfectly honest, this was probably the best possible way they could have concluded the series. The one tiny little problem is that it didn't! This doesn't even end the freaking season! There were 7 episodes to go after the graduation episode! Did the writers just up and forget the schedule or something? Now I will say this, after further observation, I do wonder if what happened after Nationals was among the elements in the storyline that got changed after Monteith's death. I have a theory on what the script may have originally called for, but I want to hold off on saying what that is until after I watch season 6 for reasons I'll explain then. Still, one way or another, the main issue with this season would still exist. It's pretty clear Ryan Murphy and company planned on doing something big and ground-shaking as the 100th episode approached, but it's like they treated it like a season finale with no real clue as to how the rest of the season played out. They pretty much put their audience through the most tear-jerking dramatic conclusion to New Directions and the people they followed throughout these years, and then expected them to still get through the remaining episodes without any type of cool-down period. Okay, for the 100th episode, we're just gonna blow the whole thing up! Glee Club is gone forever! But we still have 10 episodes to go after that! What do we do for them? So what does happen after all that? Well, it just so happens that pretty much everyone ends up in New York together, thanks to Blaine getting into NYADA with Kurt, Artie going to film school in Brooklyn, and Sam pursuing a career in modeling. And this is actually not a bad idea in concept. Heck, it's more or less what I wanted to see more of back in season 4. Okay, granted, they needed to wait until other characters like Artie graduated in order to have everyone that was there from the start, but then why delay that until midway through this season instead of doing it at the end of season 4? As a result, we get a very rushed new storyline about everyone getting together to see Rachel's debut in Funny Girl, which includes Sue coming all the way to New York just to heckle her. Though it does result in this.
You made my life in high school a living hell.
Well, thank you.
And it's like you had a mission to keep us underwater, never coming up even for a breath of air. And you said that it was to push us, but I really don't think that's what you wanted, because if we actually felt how wonderful and amazing and loved we really were, then we would know what you knew all along, which is that you are a rotten, an awful person who only finds joy in people's misery. Well, let me tell you something. Something amazing happened tonight. A group of friends rallied together and made a dream come true, and never, ever in your empty, sad life will you feel the kind of love that I felt tonight. And I would feel so sad for you, but I don't, because I just want you to get the hell out of my apartment, because I want to be with my friends.
You have the right to remain.
I mean this! That was about the best "you suck" speech since Quagmire roasted Brian! It is just absolutely amazing that not only does Sue finally get taken down the several pegs she deserves, but that it was Rachel that did it! I may have just found a new modicum of respect for this girl! So naturally, the next episode has Rachel going back to being a diva and likely making the viewers want to see her taken down!
Look, that homeless guy is sleeping on my face. New York really is where dreams come true. And now, he'll wake up to find one of his dreams came true too.
Then Rachel nearly ruins her career by skipping out on a show to audition for a TV show in LA and blows the audition, but then gets a call back saying they instead want to create a new show around her. We get this new unfunny character that looks like a bad attempt to poke fun at TV writers or producers. And the season ends with Rachel now declaring she's going to LA to become a TV star. From Broadway star to outcast to Hollywood star in just 1 month. That's the Glee storyline for ya. More bipolar than North Texas weather. I really don't know what to think of the 5th season of Glee, because to be honest, I don't know if I can even call it a season. I almost want to call it 2 mini seasons crammed into one, but that assumes the second part is even its own identity. It's like a full-length movie that somehow had its climax just an hour into it and managed to drag out the falling action for the whole second hour. And maybe worst of all was that much of what happened with the characters during this season, I actually found myself not caring. We had Blaine and Kurt breaking up temporarily, I think. Kitty dating Artie, Jake dating Marley, but then cheating on her with new alpha bitch Cheerio Bree, who I think was Sue's latest plant. Will and Emma having a baby, and it all just seemed dull compared to everything that happened in previous years. It kind of looks like Murphy and company are actually running on fumes at this point with their best work behind them. And it's really disappointing because I was hoping to get passionate and fired up reviewing this, and here I am thinking, meh. Makes me wonder what's worse, watching a horribly bad TV show or a dull one. Well, you'll find out soon enough. What do you mean by that? Check out next week's review.